Yes, sir, we are.
Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 10:20, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Roy can lead us in the pledge, and then our invocation will be brought to us by Reverend Dr. Rula Colvin. And as soon as the invocation is complete, we'll remain standing for an announcement on a couple individuals I want to talk about. So, okay, Roy. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hear this prayer. Loving God, we're grateful for this time together this morning, and we ask your blessing on those who will be making presentations, and blessings especially on those who have been called to lead this community. We pray that you remind them that they are not only leaders but also servants, and that it is their responsibility to serve the common good of all. Remind them also that throughout the ages, leaders of the people have been called to respect and protect the least of those among us, our children, our elderly, the poor, those who are hungry, those who have no homes, those who are ill in body, mind, and spirit, the stranger and the immigrant in our midst, and those who live on the margins. Grant them, we pray, the wisdom to speak out when it is time to speak out, and to listen patiently and receptively when it is time to listen. Keep them safe, keep them healthy, keep them rested so that they may be effective in their work. Place in them a spirit of unity, we pray, so that they may work toward a shared vision rather than as individuals promoting their own agendas. Let their disagreements be on content and not on personality conflicts or power plays. May they resolve their disputes gracefully. Give them the courage to follow noble aspirations. Give them the strength to support worthy causes, the integrity to seek justice, and in all their civic duties be their inspiration and guide, we pray. And we pray this in the name of all that we hold sacred and holy. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. So what I'd like to share with you all, we lost a couple individuals here in the county here real recent. And the first one was Josephine Goody, worked in the elections department and had been with the county for 15 years and 11 months. The other one was David Dumler, worked in facilities department and had been with the county for 3 years and 9 months. My thoughts and prayers go out to those folks' family. I know it's not an easy time for them, so if we just have a moment of silence. Thank you. Reverend, thank you as well. And the Reverend drove all the way from Mesa this morning for this, so really appreciate it. Okay, so going on to presentations 2A. Presentation by Arizona Public Service Company's wildfire mitigation efforts during the summer fire season. Janet Dean, I believe Janet is in Payson. Janet, there you are.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing us a few minutes of your time this morning. Again, I'm Janet Dean. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for APS for our Northeast Division, which includes the Payson and Star Valley areas. I'm joined today down in Globe by our T&D Supervisor Brian Goslin, who's there in the front row, and will participate if there are any needs from the Globe chambers. Again, thank you for letting us be here. We wanted to touch base briefly. It is coming into heightened fire risk awareness season, as we all know, and we're already experiencing throughout our division and throughout our state. And what I wanted to do today was take just a few minutes to make sure that you understand and know about our fire mitigation protocols at APS. We have a promise to our state and to our service territory, and part of that promise is that we're stewards for the state, and a key piece of that is providing safe, reliable power. And our power lines go through hundreds and hundreds of miles of forested area that is at high risk of fire. So for the past several years, we've had a very intense fire mitigation process that we go through, and it's something we do year-round to be prepared as we move into this time of year where any spark, anything can create a very serious consequence for our state. So what I wanted to do today is talk you through the 4 key pieces of our fire mitigation program. The first one is our vegetation management program, and this entails us constantly working to keep our rights-of-way, transmission rights-of-ways and easements clear and in safe condition. So we are looking for hazard trees that might fall and impact our lines. We are keeping the vegetation cut low and honestly creating fire breaks. It keeps our equipment safe, but it also keeps those transmission lines as a resource for our first responders. If they do have to fight a fire around our transmission lines, they often use those lines as a place where they take a stand and start to fight the fire. So that's one component of our fire mitigation protocols. We also have a program called Defensible Space Around Poles. And as you know, through our lines, especially in the wildland urban interface, we have poles that have equipment on it. And just basis of our equipment, there's inherent risk, and we are aware of that. So we are clearing a space around the poles with equipment that could possibly spark if there's an issue. We're clearing about 10 feet radius around those poles so that if there ever is a spark, it falls on ground that can't flame up. So that is another key piece of what we do year-round. We also, this time of year, we go out and we patrol nearly 5,000 miles that goes through areas at high risk of fire. And we're patrolling those lines. We're looking for any issues that we need to fix, any maintenance concerns. We're, again, looking for hazard trees that we might need to get taken down and taken care of. And again, we've been doing that by foot, by truck, we'll use drones, but a variety of ways. We've patrolled 5,000 miles of line prior to this time to get ready for this heightened fire season. And then finally, the fourth component of our plan is operational protocols that we put into place each year about this time. And what that means is as an energy company, electricity provider, we don't like outages. And if we ever experience an outage, we want it to be as short as possible. And so we have equipment on our lines called reclosers that's designed to automatically try to restore power if there is ever an interruption. It will do that 3 times. It's the kind of momentary blinks that you might have experienced in the past or you experience throughout the year. This time of year, we turn those reclosers off. And we turn them off because we do not want power trying to be automatically restored when there is a heightened fire risk. We want to get our crews out. We want boots on the ground. We want to see why the power might have been interrupted. Is it a line on the ground? Is it a tree in the line? And if those are the cases, we want to know that, and we want to get that taken care of before we try to restore power, because those are situations that could cause sparks. So this time of year, what you might experience is a power outage that you wouldn't have in the middle of winter when there's snow on the ground. Because sometimes we find nothing on the line. Sometimes it was a lightning strike and power would have been restored automatically by that recloser. It might have been a Mylar balloon brushing against a line on its way to who knows where, and the power would have been restored through those reclosers. This time of year, we don't want to take that risk, and it's because we are concerned about the safety of our communities and our equipment. So we want people to know that. That's why we're here in front of you. That's why we have been doing this across the state, reminding everyone that we care about the safety of our communities. We have been working very hard all year round to be ready for heightened fire risk, and because of that, you might experience an outage during the summer that you wouldn't during another time of the year, but it's all from a heightened awareness of keeping our communities safe. With that, I wanted to see if Brian, if you have anything to add, jump up to the podium. Otherwise, we're happy to answer questions. And Also want to let you know that we have been working to cut down on those outages that might be caused by the reclosers. We've been adding equipment to help us better identify where there might be a disruption of power so we can get our crews there as quickly as possible. So Brian, it looks like maybe you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Janet. Thank you guys for having us. As always, this is our yearly deal. We try to share what's going on, kind of answer questions for you guys. I just want to put one plug in that some of the stuff we have is working. As last year, the Telegraph Fire came through this area, this is my area. And for the 180,000 acres, or 200,000 acres, whatever the Telegraph Fire was, we only lost 4 structures in that whole fire from our vegetation management and DSAP program. So we're considering that a pretty big success. So I just want to give that plug and see if there's any questions I can answer for you gentlemen today.
Thank you, Brian. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Janet. And I know APS is a good partner when it comes to rural Arizona and all the fires and stuff. And so we appreciate all of your planning for what could be another potential fire season with outages. So we appreciate everything you're doing. I do.
Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Yeah, no, we appreciate you reaching out and trying to get us better prepared for fires to where you don't lose your power and neither do the people of Gila County. So I realize it's a lot of work and an effort, but it's appreciated very much. And so that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tim. So Brian and Janet, I want to thank you for the presentation, and if you pass on to Neil, I really appreciate you guys. And hopefully we'll just skip this year for fire season. How's that?
Fingers crossed.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 2B, presentations. Presentation of February and March Gila County financial data as it compares to the fiscal year 2022 Gila County budget and fiscal years 21, 20, and 19. Maren, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members, supervisors. So we're a little delayed in getting this to you this month. So we are presenting this summary is for March, and then we have graphs that show where we are for both March and February. And we have a couple of other notes here for you. So, Dave, if we can start with the 8-month graph. Thank you. Okay, so we noticed that this was getting washed out when it was on a white background. So we wanted to bring you a higher contrast version. Hopefully this is a little bit easier to see. And this month for February is the first month that we have 4 years of comparable data to bring you. So this was a project that you tasked me with when I first started, and so now here we are. We have 4 years of comparable data that you can look at and draw conclusions from. So on this you can see, so the first column, the dark blue, is what your budget would be. The red column is where we are year to date for 2022. The lime green column is what the targeted budget should be for 8 months year to date. So for February, that's 67%. Your purple bar is your 2021 year to date actual. The blue bar next to that is your 2020 year to date actual. And then your orange bar is your 2019 year to date actual. So you can see that we're fairly consistent between 20 and 19. That 21, we had a bit of a constriction in expenses, and we had an increase in revenues, right? That purple bar is up above what the 67% 8-month expectation would be. And then when you look at the red bars, you can see that we are at, in February, we were at 51% of budget for salaries and EREs, 51% for operational expenditures. And then when we add in our encumbrances, so those would be expenses we're expecting but have not paid yet, we were at 55% for our expenditures and encumbrances compared to a 67% of budget expectation for 8 months. And then for revenue, we were at 52% at the end of February, which is not unexpected. We have cyclical revenue sources. So Dave, if we can go to the 9-month chart, please. Thank you. So then coming into March, you see the same thing, that the past 3 years have been pretty consistent, and that the current year we are running below budgeted expectations for revenue and for expenses. We're at 57% each for salaries and EREs and operating expenses. When you add in your encumbrances, we are at 61% compared to a 75% of budget because we're 9 months through the year. And our revenues were at 56%. So if we go over to what we call our narrative for 9 months, we had the top 3 revenue line items experiencing an increase this year compared to last year. Our state shared sales tax, which was up $974,000, charges for services, which are up $120,000, and state grants, which are up $115,000. The top 3 revenue line items that are experiencing a decrease from the previous year at the end of March were property taxes. They were $342,000 below where they were the year before. Miscellaneous was $309,000 below the year before, and interest and penalties on delinquent taxes was down $123,000. And then we talk about where we are relative to the previous year. So year-to-date revenues for the end of March were $210,000 more than the previous year. Year-to-date expenditures were up $650,000 from the year before. And then I did look ahead at April and May just to make sure that you gentlemen knew where we were tracking or know where we're tracking. So when we looked ahead to March, the monthly activity, we did have monthly revenues that 1 month accounted for 11.6% of the budget of $5.8 million. And of that $5.8 million, property taxes were $4.6 million of that. So that accounted for almost 80% of the revenue that we received in April in the general fund. And for comparison purposes, the previous year, or the previous month's year-to-date were less than that. So we wanted to prepare this information and bring it to you. I did look this morning to see where we were, and as of Friday, we had received 93% of the property taxes billed for the year. So we are tracking where we should. It's just a matter of timing that we're here presenting March, and it's the middle of May already.
Marin, thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions or comments?
Thank you, Marin. Good presentation. Yeah, I really don't have any questions, so
Okay.
thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I appreciate the presentation. I just have one question.
Sure.
On decrease compared to 2021 financial year, the $342,000, was that on property taxes? Was that due to the valuation of the property?
It's just the timing. It's
It's
just
the
the
timing.
timing of when the money has come in.
Okay.
Right, so if we have, like one of our large property tax customers pays in, April instead of March, you'll see that kind of a fluctuation.
Okay,
And-
because I
and-
know they're doing property evaluations and
Yeah.
things, and so I was just wondering
Yeah.
if that was due to property evaluations.
The interest and penalties on delinquent taxes, however, you can see that's lower because the amount of arrearage is lower, right? So the treasurer has been collecting more efficiently, so there's less out there to charge interest and penalties on. But
Thank you.
the taxes is just timing. And is the the black background, is that less difficult to see on the bar chart? Do you want to keep that, or do you want to go back to the white?
What do you think,
I like it.
You like the black better? Okay.
Tim?
Yeah, it's fine, Mr. Chair, whatever you.
I noticed that, when we're up here talking about it, it's hard for the audience to see. I mean, it's hard to see either way, but, okay. We will continue that then. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank
I
you,
would, I
Mary.
would say in the lines, in the colored lines too, with a black background, you could also put in black in the colors of what that particular line is.
Okay, we can do that. So that you're not looking at the tiny little legend down at the bottom, that it's clear within the actual bar? Okay, we'll make that adjustment. Thank you.
Thank you, Maren.
Thank you, man.
Okay, going on to 3, public hearings. 3A, information, discussion, action to adopt an order establishing the Verde Glen Domestic Water Improvement District. Eric Maskell. How are you today, Eric?
I'm fine, Chairman.
Good.
Chairman Klein, Supervisor Christensen, Supervisor Humphrey. This morning, I am before you. Back in March, we had a petition submitted to the Gila County Elections Department for the establishment of a Verde Glen Domestic Water Improvement District. All right. So steps have followed through. The signature petitions have been verified, and the public notice of the hearing was sent forth to the area residents, published in the paper of record, and we went an additional step and published it also in the Payson area, because that, even though that's not a paper of record, we went ahead and submitted it for them also, so there's just maximum coverage of this particular issue. Also the Department of Revenue, or the Corporation Commission, excuse me, has been notified in accordance with all the relative statutes and so forth. So today is the set day for the public hearing for the people of the area to come in and submit either their pro or their con arguments as to the establishment of the Verde Glen Domestic Water Improvement District. So without any further ado, I guess if we have people that want to submit commentary, I guess this is the appropriate time.
Okay.
Don't know if you have any cards up there that you've received.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple stacks, I guess,
Okay.
right here,
All right.
Eric, too. First off, I'm going to go through our supervisors for any questions for Eric. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I don't think I have anything right now.
Okay.
Tim?
I have a lot of questions, but I don't have any questions for you at this time.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so for now, we'll open the public hearing, and we will start with Payson up there. And I have got Michael Harper. You want to start first? If you got something you want to speak about on this, and what I'm going to do, we're going to hold you all pretty tight to 3 minutes. That's what everybody will have today, and Missy will be the one timing this. So Lisa, is Michael there? Does he want to speak?
Michael Harper, I believe, is on YouTube.
Does he have anything on YouTube or no? How about David Owens, Lisa?
He's right here.
Okay,
He would like Matt Boyd to go first. Boyd. I have the paperwork here.
oh, okay, thank you, Lisa. Okay, we'll have Matt go first. So Matt, when you get up there, if you just state your full name and where you live.
You bet. My name is Matt Boynton, and I'm a director on the board of directors for the Verde Glen Property Owners Association. I reside in Mesa and own a property within the community. So I appreciate your time today. I'm here representing the interests of the board and their opinion relative to our petition for the awarding of a DWID for the Verde Glen community. So as we debated amongst board members, our debate centered around the statutory requirements for approval of the DWID and whether we would actually meet those requirements prior to submission. We believe that the current water system serving the Verde Glen development is 60 years old, and that the formation of the DWID will promote the public convenience, necessity, and welfare by providing safe, reliable, and economically sound drinking water to residents within the DWID boundaries, and we've referred to that in our petition. That goes directly to the revised statutes 48-903 and 48-906, which we reviewed prior to submission of the petition. We believe that the DWID will be in a better position than the Verde Glen Property Owners Association to finance the operation and improvement of the water system through access to WEFA and other funds, low-cost loans, grants, as well as water rates and assessments. The current POA, the Property Owners Association, although we levy assessments for the cost of water distribution, those assessments are not sufficient to cover future costs of reparation as well as maintenance of the water system, given its age and the anticipated breakdown of significant parts of that infrastructure in the future. We believe that those future improvements and expansions of the water system will benefit all of the properties within the proposed DWID boundaries. Next, we looked at the boundaries of the district, and they are, as Mr. Marscall said, not within the boundaries of an existing or pending public service corporation that provides domestic water or wastewater. We are completely independent. The petition includes a statement that we are not within the boundaries. It also, at Exhibit C, includes a letter from the Arizona Corporation Commission affirming that assertion. Just in terms of background, in 1974, the VGPOA was established with the express and specific purpose of maintaining and delivering safe water resources to the community. And we believe that the DWID petition is in keeping with the vision of the founders of the POA and the original owner of all of the land upon which the POA now sits, Stan Roper, who was the original developer in 1962. We believe that safe, clean, and responsibly managed water for all Verde Glen residents into the future is best accomplished by awarding of DWID status. I know that there is some discussion around exclusion of territory from the DWID, but we believe that those who may wish to be excluded are currently served by the POA water system and would continue to be served as members of the DWID. And if not members, they would be seeking water distribution through that same system in any event. I'm joined today by a colleague who is our vice chair of the board, Mr. Hunt Winston, who at the appropriate time in the meeting can speak specifically to some of the infrastructure and our future concerns, given that he's the chair of our water distribution committee. Thank you very much for your time. I'm happy to take any questions for me or come back at the end after all of the discussion if there are questions for me remaining.
Thank you, Matt. What I'll do is we'll go through the folks that wish to speak, and then if we have any questions, we'll call upon you to answer those
Great.
questions.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time.
So Lisa, David Owens, next.
Thank you and good morning. I apologize for the rearranging of the chairs. My name is Hunt Winston, referred to by Matt just a moment ago. I am the vice president of the Verde Glen Property Owners Association. I'm happy to be here today and to share just one perspective or an additional perspective perhaps on this situation. So I moved my family and I permanently to Verde Glen in 2020. It's a gorgeous place. It's fantastic, right on the river. It's really wonderful. Shortly after moving, I was elected to the board of the Verde Glen Property Owners Association and then chosen to be the vice president of that board or vice chairman of the board. And then I formed a water operations committee. And that consisted of three other property owners from amongst the community. And what we set out to do is really evaluate the situation and the status and maintenance and age and of all of our equipment in order to then put an RFP together and to look at sourcing water operations for the community. In doing that, it gave me and the other members of this committee a firsthand opportunity to see all of the equipment, both the well itself and the doghouse it's in, the pump house, which is in great shape, but the pump equipment inside the pump house. We have in Verde Glen 1 at the top of the hill, we have a 60-plus-year-old pressure tank. It's a great tank, and it's got an old reciprocating oil-based compressor on top. And the equipment is just very, very old, right? And so Verde Glen 2, we've got another pump house. We've got newer booster pump equipment, but similar challenges in terms of the distribution line from Verde Glen 1, where the main storage tank is, to Verde Glen 2. Verde Glen 3 is the part of the community that's the newer part of the community. It happens to be where my family and I live. And it's not served through any booster pumps, but served simply through gravity-fed distribution lines from the pump or from the main pump house. Those lines are at various stages of age. Matt referenced the community itself was kind of created in the 60s. Some of that equipment was put in service in the 60s, that original booster pump I mentioned. Some of the equipment has been replaced since then. But all in all, much of our equipment, the critical infrastructure of our equipment is past its useful life. It, however, is continuing to perform. And I think that's because the community has been well managed from an operation or from a water perspective for many, many years. But we're at a situation now where I think it was the same year I moved in, we had a failure of a power disconnect in the Verde Glen 2 pump house. And so we had, I don't know how many homes or probably 15 or so properties served by that pump house that were without any real water pressure. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had a power situation with 240-volt power in the main pump house, and that put out the well. So we were no longer pumping water from the well to the main tanks. And everyone in Verde Glen 1 that was served by that booster pump I mentioned a minute ago, nobody had water for 2.5 days, or they had trickling water for 2.5 days. Where I am in Verde Glen 3, gravity fed, we were good to go, but that was only going to be a matter of time as soon as that tank was run dry. APS did a fantastic job. Jane's already left. I was going to say thank you. They did a fantastic job within hours of being called in to come in and restore power to that facility. But that's another example of how at risk our water supply in that community really is. Memorial Day weekend last year, we had another APS issue, but this wasn't an APS caused issue. We had a construction guy bump a power pole and it put power out. And so then the APS trucks came, like a fire truck came. He happened to park on top of the road. Now it wasn't off the road. It was literally on the road, and it crushed a water distribution line. That water distribution line was less than 12 inches buried in the ground, which doesn't follow any best practice. It doesn't follow any industry standard practice. And it created, in this case, we didn't have water availability issues, but we did waste about 15,000 gallons of water before we had an opportunity to get that break fixed. So all in all, what I would say is we have many single points of failure in our water system today. We have many pieces of critical equipment that are past their typical service life. And then we have many, perhaps thousands of feet of distribution lines that don't really follow industry practice today. None of which needs immediate fix right now because the water's not running. But it will absolutely need to be addressed, maintained, and ideally a maintenance plan put in place that handles this proactively as opposed to reactively when incidences do occur. So I just wanted the opportunity, I appreciate the opportunity to share that with you, and look forward to the rest of the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, Dave Owens.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Thank you for your time. I'm a resident up in Verde Glen, currently hold a KA1 dual engineering license within the state of Arizona. I, too, have been involved in the system, have evaluated it, along with a gentleman by the name of Dean Schaefer, who is also our water operator. At the time that we originally moved in there, obviously we didn't have any real problems, but over the years we have, and everybody, the two previous individuals have articulated that. The couple of points that I want to point out was, one, that Dean Schaefer brought up a budget for us, which is approximately 6 months ago, of approximately $1.3 million that's going to be needed to fix the infrastructure that's currently deficient in this community. The infrastructure that we're talking about previous to this was obviously the pipes. Of those pipes, part of these pipes are sewer pipes that are being utilized to supply water within that community. These are ABS pipes that are obviously not approved at this point in time to current standard practices. Something that you got to keep in mind. At the same time this is all going on, Hunt mentioned earlier about our mechanical deficiencies. Those too need to be upgraded, and all these need to be upgraded to in approximately 4 to 6 years. I mean, without that, we are going to be looking at some type of catastrophic failure, in my opinion, and we're going to need money, and the DWID allows that to happen, and it allows it to happen through low interest loans and the interest being forgivable in some instances, along with grants. And this DWID also allows us to procure engineering to the point that it's virtually free. They will come out, evaluate the system, supply us engineering so that we can go ahead and implement some type of structural plan to go ahead and put forth a material cost and obviously a labor cost to be able to put a lot of this in. So the DWID basically takes care of that without looking at some type of catastrophic, again, assessments for individuals that have limited income up in this area. So in all, we have to have a DWID, or otherwise we will have a failing water system within the next 4 to 6 years, and we'll be looking for other means. But a DWID allows us to procure these low interest loans, engineering, and all at the same time with the fact that we will not be encumbering the residents or future residents with some type of catastrophic assessments. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, does that cover everybody up there?
That covers everyone, sir.
Thank you, Lisa. So, moving on to down here. Let's go first to Joanne Romano. You'd rather wait till last too? Dennis, you want to go first? Okay, this is Dennis G. Bassi, correct?
That's correct. Thank you.
On Canyon Drive, Payson, Arizona.
Good morning, Chairman Klein and member supervisors. Thanks for letting me speak this morning. I would like to ask the question of whether all of you had a chance to review the email that I sent voicing my objection to the DWID. Has everyone had a chance to read that? Yes?
I have.
Okay.
So continue on.
Well,
you got
okay.
3 minutes.
All right. Basically, that lays out what my concerns are. DWID might be a very good idea. However, our community has been under the threat of litigation for the past 5 years. Mr. Owens, who just spoke, is actually one of the plaintiffs. I believe that we haven't had a chance to really fairly evaluate people's attitude towards this DWID up to this point in time. I was of counsel to the board, the previous board, for approximately 15 years. I was in many board meetings. We talked about the water system constantly. It was always in good shape. I myself, in over 15 years, never even suffered an outage. There were minor things that had to be repaired over time, but as was mentioned earlier, the water system was well maintained and well managed. So we were able to take care of problems as they came up. My concern now is that we have a bit of transiency in our neighborhood, in that some cabins have been sold, some have been purchased. Not everyone presently was polled on the formation of this DWID. Also, the ballots themselves was only being able to vote a yes if you mailed it back. There was no way to vote a no other than to hold on to the ballot. So there were some inconsistencies there. But the main thing is that I believe that the community might be acting out of fear right now. Everyone wants to get the lawsuit over with. Mr. Harper is actually plaintiff's attorney. He was going to speak, I presume, in favor of the DWID this morning. Most of what else I've put in my email to you, but in a nutshell, the water system out there has been operating perfectly well. I know that it's tempting to go towards a DWID for all the funding that you can get and what you would be entitled to, which could be helpful. But just the same, it requires dedicating our water system that we've had for over 60 years to a DWID and relinquishing control of it. And I think that's not a decision that should be taken lightly or under the threat of litigation. I know that Stan Roper's name was mentioned before. He passed away in 1994. Nothing that I have ever seen as being of counsel to the board would indicate that he had any vision of a DWID in place of the water system that he himself dedicated to Verde Glen Property Owners Association and put in place. And he was a real visionary. So I would just ask the board to consider that we still have the threat of litigation. The current complaint is not dismissed, even though it's been promised since last December. It's being held in place like the sword of Damocles to get the residents of Verde Glen to vote this DWID in. Now, they can bring a petition later on after the threat of litigation is removed. I may support it myself, but this isn't the time when you have the threat of litigation, which makes questionable everybody's support of the DWID. And thank you for letting me speak this morning.
Thank you, sir. So next, Rich. You want to go next? Rich Romanato, East Angus Drive, Scottsdale.
Yes, and also have a property at 215 Conifer in Verde Glen. Been there since 1991. So, and I kind of echo some of Dennis's sentiments there about the fact that we feel like we've been pressured into approving a DWID. You know, I did not approve it, I won't approve it, I won't approve anything where I'm, you know, being sued to get something done. You know, I've been a member of the board up there in various capacities, president, vice president, director, treasurer, over, you know, the last 30 years. And I do agree with Dennis. I feel that a lot of people have just had this cloud hanging over their head as, you know, you need to do this DWID. The system has been very good for the last 30 years that I've been there. We've not had any major issues in that. And, you know, I just feel that we need to maybe step back and take a little more time in approving this DWID, remove the litigation that is in place, and then go back to the people out there and see if that's what they really wanted to do, because I feel that a lot of my neighbors have been pressured into signing off on this petition to form the DWID. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Joanne, you ready to go now?
Joanne Romanato, also Scottsdale and Payson. I just want to let the board know that I kind of feel the same way that Dennis does, that everybody was kind of pressured with the lawsuit hanging over everybody. But I also see the other side, that we do need a DWID. When I was on the board, I was on the board for a while too, we were discussing a DWID. We knew that we were in that direction. But I don't feel that we needed to be sued to put us in that direction. Nobody ever came before the board to discuss it, which is a process that should have happened. If they felt we needed, if the community felt we needed to do that, they needed to come to the board. We were already discussing it. All they had to do is come to the board. Let's form a committee. Let's go forward and do what we needed to do. But again, that was not the process. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here? No? Dave, how about on YouTube? Does Mr. Harper have anything he wants to ask or say?
He did add in chat that he is on YouTube.
Okay.
But that's all he's put into the chat after this point.
Okay.
He is on YouTube.
So, I think we've got everybody covered in Payson, right, Lisa?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, Eric. So, Mr. Christensen, Supervisor, do you want to have any questions for any of these folks, or Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I am familiar with the area. And I have heard everyone speak, and so it sounds like some of the complaints against forming the DWID is not what the outcome of the DWID would produce, but it was the process that everyone went through. The process was not done according to what they felt it should have been, or they felt pressured into it. Because I do believe the DWID will free up money for the infrastructure going forward. I don't believe you can say it'll always be in good condition. It's going to deteriorate over time. And so this is an effort to try and get grant money to do that. My question is to Eric then. How many property owners are in this DWID area? Do you know?
I have Ken Burrell. He's from the assessor's office, and he is the individual that verified the petition signatures and the property owners. He will probably be able to speak to that a little bit better.
Okay, I don't need
he's
an
in Payson.
exact number, but if, do you have,
Here he
oh,
comes.
is he here?
Yeah,
Okay.
He's in
All right,
Payson
thanks.
conflicts.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Burrell. I am Chief Deputy Assessor of Gila County. We received requests to verify the signatures on the signature page to support formation of the Verde Glen Domestic Water Improvement District. Of that, there were 32 signature pages, and we verified that there were 31 of the parcels. However, the one that we weren't able to verify, we did find that people did own property, and the reason we could not find the one was because it was an incorrect parcel number, but the owners did own property in that district. So we were able to verify the 31 signatures that were there. We received a second letter for 2 more parcels in this area, and we were able to verify those signatures. So altogether, there's 33 parcels that we were able to verify.
Okay, thank you for that number, 33. So out of,
The 51
there's
parcels.
51 total parcels. And so the 33 you received were essentially a vote for positive, right?
That's correct, Supervisor.
Okay,
And they indicated earlier that there was an election that took place, and that was through their homeowners or their property owners association. That wasn't an election that we conducted for them at all.
okay.
Just to make that clear.
And Dave West is the property owner that you're speaking of that had a clerical,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, does this DWID in any way affect the surface water that is been historically flowing down a irrigation canal from the Robert Mitchell property?
That I would not know, Supervisor.
Do we know if that's a separate water system?
Once again, I'm not aware of that as being an operational system.
Okay,
But the area is clearly defined in the legal description, so if it's within that area, then it would impact it.
okay. Can I ask a question to Mr. Owens?
Dave Owens here, Chairman.
Good morning, Dave. Say,
Good morning, sir.
do you know if the DWID has the intention or would also include the irrigation water that flows off of the Mitchell residence?
No, that is we have a agreement through the McLaughlin Ditch Users Association with the federal government to access that water. That water is currently in the adjudication with the state of Arizona, but the DWID does not have any effect on that water, nor any power over that water, because the fact it's basically at this point in time through that adjudication process with the state at this point in time, and again, it's surface water, so they have no effect.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess the only question I would have is, if there's a current litigation for the Domestic Water Improvement District, what would our decision for or against today have? Would it have any effect, or would it create any issues with the litigation that is currently underway?
That would be something that the attorney would probably be best suited to answer, as I am not an attorney.
So we've heard discussion about litigation, however, the county is not a part of that suit, so I have no information in regard to that, and I don't believe that has any bearing on your decision today. The only concern of legalities that I see is the allegation that not all of the property owners were informed. I did hear Eric, however, discuss that there was track of all of the property owners who were reached out to. So I believe that our staff has covered that question. But as far as any sort of bearing on the legislation, that has no effect on your decision. However, Mr. Harper might want to speak to that, as he is the plaintiff's attorney in that suit.
Dave, is there anything coming across from Mr. Harper on that? We, yes.
Dave just came over and said that Mr. Harper would like to be on the conference line.
No, he made comments.
He did make comments.
Through YouTube.
Okay.
So Dave is gonna read those right now.
Oh, thank you, Marion.
Talking about him calling in might be easy.
Sorry?
Okay, these are comments that Michael Harper has put into the YouTube chat. The creation of the DWID will be of great benefit to the local community. The existing water distribution system is badly outdated and in need of repairs. The DWID will allow the community to submit applications for grants through, among others, the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona. These potential grants could significantly improve water quality for all of the Verde Glen area. Under the Arizona statutes, the issue before the board is whether the DWID would further the public convenience, necessity, or welfare, ARS 48906A. The opponents must show that either the proposed DWID would harm their property or otherwise not benefit the area. They have come close to making this showing. The DWID application is the culmination of years of work by the Verde Glen Property Owners Association and the property owners in the area. The Property Owners Association, which currently operates the water system, is particularly well suited to offer a position as to whether the DWID is in the best interest of future operations. As stated already by Mr. Boynton, the association believes that this is the best path moving forward. There is near completion of a resolution which will resolve all these issues for the benefit of the local residents. 36 of 51 lot owners have signed the petition. Let's see, the Mitchell property is not within the DWID area. And those are all of his comments up to this point.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Humphrey, you have more?
No, I don't. That was my only concern and question, and I don't feel as if it was answered, but that's okay.
We'll take another shot at it.
It was asked, and where I'm at is, it's not within my district, so I guess I will leave it up to Supervisor Christensen to make a
Excuse me,
motion
sir.
when it's time.
We have somebody here that would like to answer some more questions for you.
Okay, hang on just a minute, Lisa, because this might fall right in line with what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
And who is it, just so I know?
Mr. Boink.
Perfect. So, I've read the emails for the project, against the project. I've listened to everybody today. I hear what is being said about some good that would come out of a water district. But what I don't understand, if this is a good thing, why is there a lawsuit pending? Why is there litigation going on? And that's just my question. I just can't help but think that and I see when you have such an old infrastructure, eventually it will collapse and things will happen to it that do need repaired, and that will cost a lot of money. So when it comes to water districts, I see that. But what I don't understand, and I have yet to hear today, is if it's such a good thing, why are we fighting over it? And so, Mr. Boynton, maybe you can answer that. It seems like maybe, if you don't mind. And I guess if I ask the wrong question, Jessica's going to tell me here pretty quick, huh?
All right. Thank you, sir. My understanding is that the pending litigation is declaratory in nature, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to use words that I'm familiar with but may have a different meaning. And but I understand as a board member and as a community member who was named as a defendant that the pending litigation is declaratory in nature. In other words, the plaintiffs were seeking a declaration of formal ownership of the water resource. There was, I think, a difference of opinion and also a lack of clarity on who actually owned the water resource. So the plaintiffs filed a lawsuit simply to get declaratory relief by the courts seeking who actually owns the resource. Now, as we've continued our negotiations amongst the board, plaintiffs, and defendants in a small working group, it became clear that not only does the DeWitt offer us the opportunity to ameliorate our system and ensure its safety and security well into the future, again, looking forward to additional years in its current capacity, but then anticipating catastrophic failure, that this gives us access to financing. It also then determines the matter of ownership. And it's my understanding through correspondence through the board's counsel and the plaintiff's counsel that there is essentially a motion to dismiss the lawsuit once the DeWitt is approved, because then ownership, the matter of ownership is settled. Well, I'm sure Mr. Bassey or others will also have a view. Mr. Bassey's an attorney, so will have his own view based on his reading of the law. But my layman's understanding from our own counsel and from the plaintiff's counsel to us is that that lawsuit then essentially becomes null and void because the relief that the plaintiffs are seeking around ownership is decided by the award of the DeWitt and then the donation of water assets into the DeWitt by the board, which is our intent.
Okay, so Dennis, I'd like to call on you next because you're sitting there shaking your head a whole lot, and I was confused at the beginning, and now I've got more questions. And so to me, it seems like if this was going to be canceled, if we were to form this district, why wasn't it canceled before this meeting?
Because as stated before, it's being held in place as a threat to make sure it happens. They want a dedication of all the equipment and the water system, of course, to the DeWitt, and they want that done as a guarantee as well, which might have taken, it would have been another line of defense per se for the community if they had to vote for the DeWitt first and then decide on how they were going to convey the water system. They're trying to get that all done at one time. Regarding the motion to dismiss, a motion to dismiss was, I'm also a defendant in this lawsuit. And the motion to dismiss was filed months ago, and while the parties were looking to work out the problems, we were hoping to avoid them having to respond to that. They filed a response in January. It's before Judge Wright right now on whether this case will be dismissed or not. But from what I understand and from my understanding and experience in this case throughout the entire time, the case will not be dismissed until the plaintiffs get everything done exactly the way they want it in the time frame that they want it. And as far as the water system goes, it's an old infrastructure, but it's been very well maintained. And a lot of this has been alarmist to say we're facing $1 million worth of expenses. All of this could be dealt with at a future time. The petition can be brought again when we know that everybody has been properly notified. There are about 3 to 5 new residents. They have not been polled. There are people that sold their cabins that are on that signature list that are no longer there, no longer property owners. And once again, I think there was an irregularity in the petition itself in that you could not mail in anything denying that you wanted the petition. You could only mail in that you wanted it.
Dennis, thank you for your input. Mr. Boynton, thank you as well.
Thank you.
I think to save confusion going forward, and if you supervisors are ready, I'm going to close this public hearing and we'll continue on. So closing the public meeting, and I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, given the fact that about 2/3 of the people that did own property there responded in the positive, I will move to adopt the order establishing the Verde Glen Domestic Water Improvement District.
And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
2 against, 1 in favor, so it fails. Thank you. Thank you for everybody that presented today, and we'll see what the future brings. Okay, going on with 3B. Information discussion to review all goals, objectives, and policies regarding the Gila County Public Housing Authority's fiscal year 22 annual plan and obtain public comment on the plan. Melissa?
Good morning, Chairman Klein, members of the board, Supervisor Christian, Supervisor Humphrey. This annual plan for our public housing authority, we're under a small housing authority, and so we do this every 2 years, provided that we're in good standing with HUD. And last year, it should have been done last year, but because of the pandemic, things were pushed back. So we had an earlier public hearing on this. We had an earlier public hearing on this in February 28th. Every public housing participant and recipient was invited. We had 4 respond with questions, and then 2 actually came to the public hearing. So we went through the annual plan. There are no changes as of today. We may look forward to some changes going along. We have some additional vouchers through the pandemic. We have emergency housing vouchers now that we've been working diligently to get people housed, an additional 15 of them. So we had it was to a certain degree a training at the public housing, and then but also they made comments. There was no request to change anything. It was more informational at that point.
You
And
good?
that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Melissa. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Melissa. No, I don't really have any questions. Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, no, I have no further questions.
And I think I am good as well. So we will open up. Is there anybody I'll open up the public hearings. Anyone in Payson? Lisa?
No, sir.
And I don't think we have anybody here. Anybody on YouTube? Thanks, Dave. So I'll close the public meetings, and there's no action on this either, so.
No.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you
for
very
everything
much.
you do.
Thank you.
Moving on to 3C, information, discussion, action to consider a liquor license application, county number LL2202, submitted by Jeffrey Craig Miller for a new Series 12 restaurant license at Strawberry Lodge, 8039 Fossil Creek, Strawberry, and issue a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control whether the license should be granted. Marion Shepherd.
Thank you, Chairman Klein and board members. As stated, this is an application for a new liquor license at Strawberry Lodge. As you know, the board has an internal process whereby the building permitting department and the health department review the application. And I believe in this one, it's one of those where it can't be closer than 300 feet to a school or church. I'm not positive on that. But anyway, they do their review. And years ago, we started a process to submit the application to the treasurer just for her to let us know if the applicant is current on paying property taxes. And the treasurer nor the other departments had any issues, so we just need to commence with the public hearing and then issue a recommendation to the state liquor department.
Thank you, Marion. And Supervisor Christensen, do you have anything?
No questions.
Supervisor Humphrey?
No, I have no questions.
And neither do I, so I'll open the public hearing. Lisa, it looks like you're the only one in the room.
That is correct, and there's nobody for this one.
Okay, thank you. Dave, do we have anybody on YouTube? And we don't have anybody here either, so I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Supervisor Klein, I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control grant a Series 12 license to Mr. Miller for the Strawberry Lodge.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, number 4, regular agenda items, information, discussion, action to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the Gila County Provisional Community College District and Gila County to support efforts in the formation of an independent community college district and to address current and future workforce development and training programs. Mary Springer.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Lisa, is Dr. Brocker still there?
Yes, ma'am, she is.
Okay. Dr. Brocker is in Payson, so at this time, I'd like to turn it over to her if she'd like to speak on behalf of this item.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. As you know, we made a presentation regarding this IGA at your work session on April 26th, and I believe we hopefully answered any questions that you might have about this agreement. Basically, this is an opportunity for the county to invest in the future of the community college to become an independent college district within Gila County. And in return, the return on investment, of course, is to offer education and training to current and potential Gila County employees, in addition to all Gila County residents. So the amount that we're requesting is $250,000. That's basically seed money that we will use to start the accreditation process, which is one of the requirements for becoming independent. I also want to footnote that there can't be any kind of announcement that we're pursuing accreditation. That is according to the criteria set by Higher Learning Commission, but that is our plan to begin that process, hopefully within the next few months. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that, Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Jan. I remember talking about this and the benefits of it. I really don't have any questions right now. Thanks.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I have no questions, only comments, and that $250,000 has been in our budget for the college, for projects, since I've been a supervisor in it, but it turned to a grant form so that we could be responsible for our state audits for that money spent. And I don't believe it has been, and so I can't think of a better way to spend that money that's already in our budget for a first step for the college funding from Gila County stays in Gila County for education. And so thank you very much. This is a first step of a long road, but I think it's a good step.
Well, thank you. That's definitely our shared intent and goal. So thank you.
So, Mr. Humphrey, I totally agree with you. Jan, I appreciate you as well. I had questions, you answered them, I'm good, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Gila County Provisional Community College District as presented.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Motion carries, aye. So, congratulations, guys. It's good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, going on to number B, 4B, information, discussion, action to approve the Superior Court's submission of a fiscal year 23 field trainer grant application to the Court Services Division, Administrative Office of the Courts in the amount of $25,000. John?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. Before you is a grant application that contributes funding for our field trainer position. As mentioned in the agenda entry, the position serves as training coordinator for all the courts in the county, from Payson down to Hayden Winkleman. Most importantly, perhaps, the field trainer serves as a liaison between our local courts here and the automation unit of the Supreme Court to roll out all of our new tech projects. Currently, we're working on digital evidence in the Superior Court. We expect that we'll introduce electronic filing into our justice courts at some point in this calendar year. And we're also providing technical assistance to our municipal courts with virtual court hearings and remote appearances. And with that, I can take any questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, John. I don't have any questions.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Mr. Chair, I have no question.
And I'm good as well. Thank you for all that, John. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Superior Court submission of a fiscal year 2023 field training grant application to the Court Services Division Administrative Offices of the courts as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, John. 4C, information, discussion, action to terminate proclamation number 2020-01, declaration of emergency due to novel coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. Josh.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisors. So, COVID, long road. I think I've talked to almost everybody in this room at some point in the last 2 years, and we're happy at this point to say cases are down. They're still consistent. We're still at about 40 cases in the county, 50 cases a county a week, about 25 in the county, 30 tribal. But we're able to control that now. We have a fully trained staff. We still have a few grants that last through the end of this fiscal year and next fiscal year that we have if cases increase and we need more disease investigating or whatever we have, much like we treat the flu now, we'll continue to vaccinate. Those that want to be vaccinated will continue to contact trace any outbreaks that there are. We're not going to say that COVID's gone. We're expecting an increase again here June and July of this year, and again probably December, January at the end of this year. It's a disease that has 2 cycles per year instead of 1 like what we're used to with influenza, and we expect to be able to continue to do that with the staff that we have. Part of the importance I feel for this is we've had numerous of you guys visited us at the EOC when we were going through full operations. Lately, we've had a virtual EOC, but we've still kept that in place with fire season approaching, and we know that there's considerable risk of fires again this year and post-fire flooding. I think on top of everything, and the governor rescinding the state declaration on March 22nd, that it's time for us to rescind ours, and we can get Mr. Melford and the Emergency Management Branch and everybody focused on fire season. And with that, I'd also just like to add, personally thank the 3 of you. You all have communicated with us and worked with us throughout COVID. I know it's been political at times, and there have been things we had to follow on the state and federal level, but you've all been wonderful in working with us. The county management's been great, and a personal thanks to Stella Gore, our public health preparedness person who's worked with almost everybody in here and just been an excellent employee throughout this whole event.
Thank you, Josh, and make sure and thank your whole department. And Stella, thank you too so much. That was a long road. So, Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's a great day to say we're finally going to be over with some kind of a panic situation or an emergency. So yeah, you guys have done a great job, really great. You guys were leading the nation in the response. So I'm happy to see that we can terminate a proclamation.
Mr. Humphrey?
Mr. Chair, the only thing I have to say, Josh, to you and the staff of the health department is thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys were over and above and available, and I understand the turmoil that you dealt with, and so can't say thank you enough.
Thanks again, Josh. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to terminate the proclamation number 2020-01.
And a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Moving on to D, information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of request for proposals number 031422, pre-petition screening and court-ordered evaluation services.
I'm back again. Good morning, Mr. Chair, member supervisors. We're coming to you before you today to request to advertise for the pre-petition screening services. And it is mandated by statute. The county attorney's office runs that initiative, but we are looking to contract with a vendor, so we're asking today to go out to bid.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Mary, help me understand what we're putting out a request for proposal to do what function? I'm trying to.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, so if there is somebody that needs a mental health evaluation that has to go before a judge to be determined whether they're competent or not, this is it's required by statute that there's a process they go through. So mental health providers do provide that evaluation service and make the recommendations to the county attorney, who then present to a court.
Okay.
So that's what the service is that like a 36-hour hold to where, or something like that.
Okay.
And Jessica, I believe, is involved in that process with the county attorneys.
Yes, would you like me to?
Well, no, that answers it. I was just kind of wondering what the services were. So thank you. That's all.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Mr. Chair, I have no questions.
Neither do I, so that I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement of request for proposal number 031422.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Let's see, E. Yeah, you're it again. Information, discussion, action to authorize advertisement of invitation of bids number 0502222, Fairgrounds Site Improvements Phase 1. Mary, we're spending money, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member supervisors. Well, we're trying to. There was money budgeted in this year's budget to do fairgrounds improvement, and with the closure of the racing commission, we're never going to hold horse racing at the fairgrounds anymore. The track is in disrepair and it's falling apart. Part of this bid document is to remove that. There's also some outbuildings behind the main grandstands that need to be demolished. And so that's the first phase, is to clean up that racetrack, clean out those buildings, and prepare it for possibly new asphalt, a pavilion cover, more improvements after phase 1. But phase 1 is doing a major cleanup.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. So Mary, is there more phases planned already, or are we just going to get through phase 1 and then reevaluate?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, so some of the improvements that we have planned, a second arena has been purchased with funds that were budgeted this year. That arena is due to come in before the end of the fiscal year. In between now and when that arrives, there'll be dirt work that has to be done to make that arena functionable. There's restrooms planned for that area over by the Rustock Arena. Like I mentioned, once the cleanup of those old buildings happen, down the road there'll be hopefully a pavilion cover with picnic tables to make that area more functional. And so we do have kind of a list of things between now and the end of next fiscal year that we're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
A lot of it has to do with getting budgetary numbers. One of the other things that is in the works for this year, the grandstands that are over by the Rustock Arena, it has been noted that there was no guard up on the top, so somebody sitting back there could potentially tumble off. Those guardrails will be put on this year. So those are some of the improvements that are happening.
Thank you, Mary.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Mr. Chair, Yes, I want to say thank you very much. The fairgrounds are in my district. I think it's a great atmosphere for recreation that has been collecting dust for years. So I appreciate very much that the fairgrounds is going to start getting some attention because, as you say, there are hazards. The old racetrack is fiberglass pipe and it's really hazardous. So if someone was to wander out there, it's not safe, and some of the old buildings are as well. And I believe that there could be a lot of recreation going on there to bring infrastructure, and hopefully with future meetings, we can get some more things going on at the fairgrounds now that some of these things are done. And so I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey. Me as well, Mary. You know, 5 years ago when we stepped in these chairs, the fairgrounds was discussed back then. You know, it was sitting there not being used, and we went through all the hoops, talking with the Fair and Racing Commission and about horse racing and all that. That just didn't go anywhere and never will. Now that's part of it's done. So to be able for the county to pull that back together and put all that back in place and build it back up so we can get started using it is a really good thing. And so I'm real excited about that. That's a good county project right there, and I appreciate you guys for jumping there and doing that. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 0502222.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mary. Moving on to F, information, discussion, action to review the bid submitted for invitation for bids number 012422 to purchase two new Ford Escape all-wheel drive 2.0 liter EcoBoost vehicles and award a contract to McSpadden Ford and authorize the chairman's signature on the award contract. David LaForge. David?
Chairman, members of the board, yeah, we're just here to request approval to award this contract. They're for two Ford Escapes for the detention department. They will be going to replace two older vehicles, both which are close to 15 years in age, and both are over 200,000 miles. One of which was in an accident and totaled out, so it'll be very needed by this department. And both of these vehicles will be funded by the CJEF funds, so.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
That's perfect. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Only one. I hope there was insurance on the one that was totaled. No, I'm kidding. I have no further questions.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
That's mine. Supervisor, Mr. Chair, I move to award a contract to McSpadden Ford as it relates to invitation for bid number 012422 and authorize the chairman's signature on the contract.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
On to G, information, discussion, action to cancel contract number 120721-2 with McSpadden Ford for the purchase of three new 2022 Ford Expedition 4-door XL 4x4 SSVs and authorize the purchase of these vehicles through state cooperative contracts when the factory starts accepting orders for the specified 23 models. Mary, you're back again.
Mr. Chairman, I'm back again. Thank you, member supervisors. So as with a lot of stuff that's sitting on a boat in China, this has been a casualty of that as well. When the bid was awarded, the award was given to McSpadden. When they made the phone call to the manufacturer to place the order window had been closed. And that's the way it is with this order, this model year as well. We contacted the Ford dealerships, and they said that window opens, they have a certain quantity, and we're talking these specialty police vehicles. When that quantity is filled, they close those orders up. So our normal bid process takes too long of a time to make an award to publish it, get the bids in, award, we missed that window. So for the next couple years, I think we're going to have to go with state contract because that allows us to notify those state contract vendors that with our intent that we do need vehicles, as soon as the window opens, we can get them ordered. So we're asking to cancel this contract with McSpadden, go ahead and work with the state contract vendors to purchase these vehicles.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Christensen?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Sad times, but I think I understand.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, I only have one, and you probably can't answer it for me. Okay, so if we open this up, that go ahead and hit that window, is there any guarantee that we're gonna get that vehicle if we do hit that window?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, that's why we communicated with these vendors in advance. We let them know that we do have these vehicles, so we have a commitment with them to use state contract, and so the window isn't open yet, but we've got them notified that we have vehicles that we do need. So I believe we're going to get them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Humphrey. So, yeah, I hate it when we have to cancel a local contract for something like this, but it's just the mess we're in right now. So thank you for everything you're doing, Mary.
You're welcome.
That'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to cancel the contract number 120721-2.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to H, information, discussion, action to provide the results of the 22
Mr. Chairman?
public. Yes, sir.
Ask Marion, do we need to have a part of that motion to go to state contract for those vehicles, or are we good to go?
I think we're good.
Okay. I guess I should be asking Jessica. Sorry.
Just looking at the language, just one moment. Yeah, I think that's sufficient. Yeah, thank you.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay, moving on to H. Information, discussion, action to provide the results of the 22 public surplus online auction for those properties that were deeded to the state of Arizona in care of Board of Supervisors in 21, and to request authorization for the chairman to sign related quitclaim deeds to finalize the sale of the following properties: 101-07-15, 101-07-277, 101-09-014, 101-09-030, 101-09-120, 206-09-077, 206-09-078, 206-09-083, 206-09-092, 206-18-117, 206-21-053, 201-21-094, 207-15-208, 207-15-209, 208-02-262, 302-87-304, 302-87-849, and 303-06-058. Marion, that was a load.
Thank you for putting that into the record. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to turn this over to Missy, but before I do, I just want to publicly thank her for all her work on this. She kind of made it her baby, and it's a good story, so I'll turn it over to Missy.
Chairman and supervisors, Arizona Revised Statutes 42-18301 and through 42-18-303 outlines the procedures related to the the responsibilities of the County Board of Supervisors once the county treasurer deeds the properties to the state of Arizona in care of the Board of Supervisors. And once that happens, we must have an auction that states that we have to have an auction to sell the properties deeded that year. And so, funny thing that once we had COVID, we kind of got into doing the public auctions. So in July 6th of 2021, the Board of Supervisors held their first online auction for properties that were deeded in 2020. And through public surplus, we conducted that auction on behalf of the board. We had a total of $69,799.05 that was collected and deposited to our county treasurer. And that resulted in a net profit of $48,000 that went back into, that was over our lien amounts that went back into our general fund. So that was great. And so it was kind of a great success to our auction. So in 2021, last year we were deeded 31 properties. And we had 29 properties that we advertised for sale. 4 of the properties that went into moratorium that were not included in the sale due to circumstances that they were not deeded correctly, and we will be bringing those to the board at a later date. 2 of the properties were actually deeded, one to Gila County and one to the city of Globe, and for flood control or transportation purposes. So that left us with 25 properties that went on auction. We sold 18 of those. And I am very happy to say that the results of the 2021 public auction really, came out to a total price of $215,728.08 that we collected on 18 properties, which gave us a total of $166,192.11 that is over the lien amount that will go into general fund. So we did really, really well. I'm really happy to say that even though 3 of the properties that were in Payson did extremely well, which we knew that that was kind of the case, the better portion of our properties that sold that did really well was actually in the Hayden area. And I'm hoping that we are going to see a little bit more of profits in our July auction that we will be holding again. And maybe we can sell some more properties in the Hayden area, because I was really sad to see that Grupo actually stated that they had no profits this year. So that means that the Hayden-Winkleman area won't get any revenue from the mine industry. But maybe we can get some revenue on property sales to them this year by getting some of these properties back on the tax rolls and getting them some property values and revenue. And maybe we can help in that aspect if we can get some properties back on the tax rolls and get them some revenue in that aspect. And hopefully, maybe we can get some people living in that area and get the town kind of going again. And hopefully. Now, I'm not going to say we can see these kind of numbers every time we turn around at every auction, but for right now, it seems that it is opening up a little bit. We're getting a lot more people looking at our area and getting a lot more interest in the area. We had people from Florida, New Mexico, all over the place. So it's really broadening using public surplus, which is kind of nice.
So this is awesome, Missy.
Yeah.
This is a really good deal, and this is something I know I'm really excited about, turning these around and looking at that kind of a profit on top of it is amazing. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Supervisor Christensen.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank you for all the effort you've done. That's a great thing. We've not just recovered our money, but we've gained some.
Yes.
Very useful. Very good work. Thanks.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, Missy, thank you for all that you do, because like I say, every time that we come up with something like this, I love to see our homeless properties find a home, because then they get back on our tax rolls, and it's a great thing, and I appreciate all you do to help us do that. And Supervisor Klein, not only was it long-winded, but you're also gonna have writer's cramp when you get done signing all your paperwork, so,
Yeah.
I thank you very much, and when we're done with comments, I'll be happy to give you a motion.
I'll take it.
Okay. I move to authorize the board chairman to sign the quitclaim deeds as presented.
I will second.
Motion and a second. All in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you again, Missy. It's a good job. Moving on to consent agenda action items. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed and voted upon as a regular item upon the request of any member of the Board of Supervisors. Do either one of you have anything you'd like to remove?
I do not.
No?
I do not.
So with that, I entertain a motion to accept these 5A through H.
So moved, Chairman.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Call to the public. Lisa, do we have any call to the public in Payson?
No, sir.
And I had one here from Sam Moorhead, but I think he was satisfied, so we're good there. Do we have anybody on YouTube, Dave? Nope. Okay, so let's go on to number 7. At any time during this meeting pursuant to ARS 38431.02K, members of the Board of Supervisors and the county manager may present a brief summary of current events. No action may be taken on the information presented. And James, you want to go first?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to comment, thank you for your support of Gila County Community College District. I support this 100%. It's a fabulous thing to go forward on. I did have the opportunity to attend the graduation ceremony last Thursday evening here in Globe. And a lot of good nursing students and a lot of good students, about 50 kids either got graduated or got a certificate of accomplishment in the trades or different things. So, and then there was the night before there was an additional graduation in the Payson area. So it's doing a really good thing and training and educating the kids from here in Gila County. And I'm looking forward to working with them closer. So thank you.
Thank you, James. Supervisor Christensen.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a lot. My wife and I traveled for about a week over into Oklahoma and Texas, had a great time just to get away. And yesterday I was on KMOG, and also just let everyone know, we're going to have a town hall meeting in Payson June 13th that I'll be conducting as the supervisor in our new building facility. So
Good.
look forward to that.
Good deal. Supervisor Humphrey.
Is that gonna be just a public meeting?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, no agenda?
Just a loose agenda.
Oh, okay. Good, good. Oh, yeah, no, I have had a lot of public meetings and things going on. Held a Tonto Basin meeting on May 3rd. Attended a Cowboy Camaraderie, which is one of the Globe Miami Chamber of Commerce's main fundraisers, and attended that. Was on Kiko Radio May 5th at 9:30. Held a Gaisita community meeting on May 7th. Held a Roosevelt community meeting on May 9th. Was on KQSS May 9th at 5:30. And we'll hold a stagecoach drainage project call on May 21st. And so, and then I think with the Mayor Al Gomeros and Sammy, Mayor of Miami, I think we're gonna all try to get together with some information on upcoming fire season and floods for the area and things of that nature to get the Forest Service involved and J.E. Fuller and staff to kind of let people kind of know what they're looking at as far as fire danger here locally and the runoff that we're gonna possibly have from all our fires of last year. And so that's it. I just try to stay in front of the communities and let them know kind of what the information I have and to be there for them for any information they have for me.
Thank you, Tim. That's good. So last Friday, May 13th, we held a VIP tour and event there in Young on the new Veterans Retreat. The site had about 50, 55 people show up. I thought it was the attendance was really good. We had one county supervisor, Supervisor Jeff Surdy out of Pinal County came up to it. And his staff, we had a former Yavapai Apache chairwoman, Jerry DeCola was there. And along with her husband, Superior Mayor Mila Bessage, she was there. Really good discussion with her. Local veterans and other veterans from around the area were there as well. And so what we did is we set it up so these folks could go through everything and see what was proposed as far as the site goes. And then at the end, we went back and they gave them surveys to fill out if they had any additional thoughts or something that they could see that we didn't see. I think we pretty much got a survey back from most of them on it. So it was a good deal. It was a good day spent right there. And so I think as it goes forward, you know, Kathy and Joseph will be working with those surveys, putting all that together. And it's going to really shine again for, you know, as far as the county project goes, it's really going to stand out. So I look forward to that. The other thing I wanted to just thank was all the facility staff that helped put that together. They brought a big tent up there, tables, chairs, a lot of different things. Spent 3 different days up there setting it up. They're up there today taking it all down, bringing it back. They did an outstanding job. 2 guys from Payson and 2 guys from here. And so it worked out really well. And then Sunday, I went to the Save the Vote meeting in Payson. It was held at the Tono Apache Gym there at the Mazel Casino. Not as big of a turnout as I expected to see, but it was interesting listening to all of it and seeing the people that was there. Didn't get a chance to stay for all of it. And I started about 3 o'clock. I think I left there about 5:30. So I missed part of it. And so I don't know what the end was like or if there's more people showed up, but it surprised me there wasn't as many there as I thought there would be. And then today I will be going to Alaska. I'm leaving tonight for Alaska. This is WIR conference in Alaska. I'm on the Public Lands Council. I'll be up there in that conference until Friday, and then I'm going to extend that stay for about 3 or 4 days and be back next week. So maybe. If the fishing is good, it might be another week after that. So get ready, Steve. So anyway, so that's all I had. And with that, does that jog you guys' memory for anything? Or are you good? I believe we've covered everything. It was a good meeting. Sorry for the late start, but the computers had a mind of their own. So, Dave, how many did we have today? At our highest, we had 26. 26, good. Thank you all for being here. See you next week or so. I adjourn.